In today's competitive landscape, customer satisfaction is paramount to project success. A customer-centric approach empowers organizations to deliver exceptional value and build lasting relationships. This panel will explore the significance of prioritizing customer needs throughout the project lifecycle. We will delve into strategies for effective customer engagement, feedback mechanisms, and the integration of customer insights into project decision-making. By adopting a customer-first mindset, project managers can drive innovation, improve project outcomes, and ultimately achieve business objectives. We're going to highlight all this with our special speakers for this panel. Please welcome Mr. Americo Pinto, PMOGA Managing Director, PMI. And Mr. Stuart Easton, CEO, Transparent Choice. Mr. Juan Carlos Sahdala, Chief Projects Officer, DP World. And Mr. Hanny Alshazly, Managing Director, MENA Region, PMI. Well, I'm going to have this duck here. Stuart asked me to get it with me to the stage. He's going to tell a story about it later on. I'm going to start with you, Americo. Achieving exceptional results from projects often depends on several key factors. In your experience, what are the 3 top critical factors that help define outcomes, customer satisfaction, and project success at the same time?
Right. So we have 3 points, as you said. So outcomes is something that is directly linked with the business, right? So anytime that we are delivering a project, it's very important that we can have a full alignment with our business. Otherwise, at the end, we cannot understand why we deliver that specific initiative. So in terms of outcomes, this alignment with business, I believe, is the first important point. The second one you mentioned was customer satisfaction, right? So in a customer-centric approach, understanding who our customer is and the real needs behind their pains, I could say, you know, understand their pains will help us to create real solutions that can deliver something that I usually call perception of value, that is more than money, but it's totally connected with the idea of satisfaction. So it would be the second point. And the third one, in terms of project success, in a certain way, is a combination of these things, because to be successful, sometimes it's not only delivering numbers, tangible results, but there are a lot of other factors that are more intangible, but they are very important, and they help us to have the results of our projects recognized by our customers and the organization as a whole. So these 3 aspects, I believe, are the most important ones.
Yeah. Juan Carlos, how do you integrate customer requirements into a project execution in DP World? If you can tell us, what is the secret formula for the success?
There is no secret. It's only hard work. But, okay, while on the context, I just wanted to add something before I start answering your question. Apart from the pleasure of being here, I think there is something especially motivating for me personally about this panel. I've been joining this forum now for a few years, and we have discussed the most magnificent technological advances in project management. We talk about AI, and we continue to do so, and I think it's super important. But I think coming down to the foundation of the real purpose of project management is serving your customer. So I'm overly motivated to be here today. I think it's a fantastic strategy from the organizers to look at the future, but maintain your feet on the ground for what's really the basic of what we do.
Yeah.
So on that note, I think from our perspective, something really important that we try to implement while taking customer requirements is we need to understand the role that we play. We are not here to dictate. We seem to have a technical background, most project managers. But our end user is different perspective. They need to hear something different. So our role should be to facilitate, to understand what they need, and to give them at the end of the day a service, and they should be satisfied with that. So I think understanding your role is crucial for this to be successful. Now, what are the things that not secret, as we said, but what are the things that I think have been crucial to allow us to excel in our project implementation and customer service? I would say the first part is we engage people in our project management teams which have relevant expertise on the subject of what we're trying to deliver. These are the people that can understand terminology, they can understand requirements, they can add value to the process. So while being project managers, there is a certain level of specialization that we always try to put in our teams so that they can really add the value to our customers. So that's number one. The second, and I think this will be one of my main objectives to share today with the team today, is this definition of end user. Maybe, I don't know, from the audience, somebody here feels that they don't have an end user. Maybe you have an administrative role in a project delivery team. Maybe it's very technical. But I completely disagree with the approach, and my recommendation and what we try to use ourselves is treat everyone as an end user. Treat your peers, treat your colleagues, treat your contractors, your consultants, your boss, people that report to you. Ultimately, if we implement this philosophy of listening, understanding, adding value to all the ecosystem in which we work, that has proven in our experience to be extremely successful, and I highly recommend that approach.
Yeah. Stuart, in your opinion, what is the best way to connect with the customer to ensure that the requirements are met?
Yeah, thank you. So building on Juan Carlos' thing, right, putting that customer right at the center, the first thing, and probably the most important thing, is that you have to speak their language, not your language, not the project language, right? So not Gantt charts and things like that, but you've got to actually understand their language. So those users, if it's the execs, then we're going to talk executive language. If it's the call center team and you're upgrading the CRM system, let's go talk call center language. What are you trying to achieve? Call handling times, things like that, right? That's what the customer cares about. So the first thing is speak their language, not projectees. Yes?
Agree.
Agreed. Fantastic. Good. That's one for me. Yay. All right. Second, don't just be passive, right? So when you're asking, at the beginning of a project, right, just stick your hand up if you do kind of requirements gathering. Does anybody do requirements gathering at the start of projects? Come on, hands up, hands up, hands up. You all do it. Hands up. Oh, you're pathetic. Rubbish. Put your hands up next time. Okay. So at the beginning of a project, right, you do requirements gathering. Do you just listen? Do you just say, what are your requirements? And then write them down. Take an order. Right? You're taking an order. Or do you actively listen? Do you ask them questions? Do you interrogate? Do you ask, why do you need that? How's that going to affect the business outcome? Right? Because if you do that, you'll discover new requirements. You might be able to get rid of some requirements that don't matter and help the customer actually exceed their idea of what this project could be. So active listening, really key, right? And then the other bit would be around sort of the third point is around how often you talk to them, right? If you just have that conversation at the beginning of the project, guess what? Things change, right? You build something, you think it's going to be amazing, and the customer looks at it and goes, well, that's not what I wanted. Right? This is kind of the heart of Agile, but whether it's Agile, Waterfall, Wagifall, or something else, right? You need to keep that conversation going if you're going to have a happy customer, because things change, your understanding may be imperfect, and you need to keep course correcting. So it's speak their language, right? Be active in the discussion, and keep the discussion going through the whole life cycle of the project, so that at the end you actually deliver the value they want.
Definitely.
Hanny, you are responsible, mashallah, for a large number of PMI clients in the MENA region. How do you manage the diversity and the nature and the requirements for the customers?
Thank you, Raya, for this. And Stuart, you hit the nail on the head with the engagement part, and I love that, and I'll mention something about it. that works very closely with us. So when you're miles and miles away and looking at the MENA region, it looks like a Middle East. And I remember 20 years ago, I was guilty of that, thinking it's like one size fits all. So I'm always promoter of saying one size does not fit all, and we need to have tailored engagement. So pretty much like how you're mentioning about listening to the customer, working like if you look at my November and December plan, myself and the team between Morocco and Tunisia, Egypt, Saudi, every place we've been to, you come back with different style of how you can handle the customers and can have diversity. And the diversity, again, could be in economic, in the language, in the approach that you handle within the same language as well. So Saudi and the UAE to someone far away could be like very similar, but they're different as well. And you gotta find a way to do that. So I narrow it down to about 4 elements, always to keep it simple. Between the tailored engagements, we work very closely with the clients, with our clients, and we sit with them. We work on engagements with them to understand their business, the language, and be able to respond back to that particular market and so on. I'm personally a big believer of data. So we collect a lot of data. We're data-driven. We see what worked and what did not and why, and react accordingly to that. And again, strong local partnerships. So we work very closely with major organizations or governments, not just to understand the culture part of it, but it helps when you come with a global organization to have a promoter that can help you to understand how we can navigate and how we can work together to reach the end user. So that's another very important element that we work on. And the last one, team. Without team, you're as good as your team, as I always mention. So we empower our team. We have well-diverse team that understand the cultures very well. We actually empower them to study and to work and to socialize and be closer to our clients. So definitely very similar to the rest of the panelists. It's all about the client, but the closer you get to them, the more you're engaged with them, you answer to the requirement. Rather than me coming back with a solution, I'm listening to a problem and I'm specific about the answer to that particular problem.
Yeah. Juan Carlos, how would you strike the balance between meeting customer expectations and achieving DP World's organizational, the goals of DP World?
Yeah, I think we start with the cliche, is we have to listen and understand and collect these requirements. And we spoke already about having the right teams, speaking the right language. So that's undoubtedly the first step of this. Now, what I would like to say, my second important maybe message in this discussion today is what do you do with this information? Our approach as a company, as a team, is don't say no. Don't say no to begin with. It's very discouraging when people come to a service provider, an end user, with an idea, with something that he wants to explore, and the answer is, this is very difficult. We've never done this before. And this happens many times. I think yesterday there was a touch on change during this conference. So people are, by nature, not happy with change. They don't like to change the status quo. So what I recommend that I think what's been effective to us on this matter is you listen to the requirement, you take it on board, you go and do your homework. You go and study it. You go and you find alternatives. You don't just reject it from the beginning. You come back to your end user with ideas, either a great acknowledgement of what they want, or if you think it doesn't work based on your expertise, you come back with an idea, with an alternative. And try, at most not to say no. I think this is saying no is the best way to stop innovation, to stop things from being done in the better way. Now, when we talk about balance, in our case, in DP World, we are custodians of our goals, our policies, and our procedures. These are set out by the board, and we are responsible to maintain them. And that applies to all of our business and applies also to our projects. So it's very relevant in our case to play a dual role. And I will make an analogy, with all due respect, to a medical physician. So sometimes you go to the doctor, and he will tell you, you should reduce your diet, you should change, you should not eat this, you should walk in the morning. Sometimes he will tell you, this is exactly what you need to do. Sometimes he will dictate what needs to be done. So our role is to make a balance, but somewhere in that balance there is a red line. We cannot compromise our principles, we cannot compromise our goals. And I think this applies not only to DP World, it applies...
How hard it is to find the balance?
Huh?
How hard it is to find this balance?
If you guide people in the right way, if you give people alternatives, I think it's not that difficult. it's only their mindset. So, we come back with these alternatives, and we, protect the company at the same time. But, in how this applies to the rest of the participants here, not just DP World, is, in our case, it's policies, it's procedures. In their case, it might be the law, might be a regulation, might be a presidency, it might be a government. So there is always a red line that we know we will please our customers, but we will always protect them against themselves as well.
Mm-hmm. Americo, what would you suggest to organizations to excel in their customer-first approach and completely understand and align with the customer needs?
Well, that's a great challenge, I think, for many project managers, especially, because most of project managers, they have a very strong preference for the technical aspects, right? But when we are talking about a customer-centric approach, sometimes the technical aspects, of course, they are necessary, but they are not the end, they are the means, And this way, we need to act in a different approach. We have to understand very well our customers, speak their language, as was well said. Speaking their language, you gave a very interesting example about the doctor, right? And this is exactly the point, because we are the technical people. Sometimes we are offering the medicines, but our customers, they don't care about the medicines we are prescribing. They want to have their pains healed, right? And that's what they understand. No one will just say, I want this medicine or that medicine. They want to be their pains healed. So understand these pains are very important. And there is another factor that is about value. We always talk about value, but there is something important to be understood. That is, what does value mean for you, for your company, for your customer? Because the perception of value will be different. And value has two sides. There is something more tangible. We are talking about numbers, ROI or things like that. But depending on the projects, and usually it's not only this. There is a lot of other things, more intangible things that should be also considered. Sometimes nothing related with technical stuff, but it's still very important to create a perception of value in your customer after the end of this experience, right? And finally, all of this is connected with something that is important for any organization. Okay, we are delivering value, right? But are we measuring this? And this is a big challenge for most of the companies, because it looks obvious, it looks possible, but it's not so easy, right? For many different reasons. But definitely we should try to do that. We should learn from this experience, because otherwise there is no accountability. And with no accountability, we don't learn from our experiences, and we will never know if we are really delivering what we need for our success. So a customer-centric approach, from my point of view, is definitely something that we need to try to implement in our projects, in our PMOs. I lead the PMO community at PMI. We are launching in 19 days the first publication of PMI, the PMO Practice Guide, and it's a value-driven, customer-centric PMO, because it's not about technique only, it's about people, and of course, all of this together will bring what we expect in terms of business results.
Hanny, if you can tell us about PMI's customer-centric approach to working with clients worldwide.
Great. I mean, we're a big believer in offering something that offers value and addressing need to the client. In my previous life, and I find PMI has always been a continuation of that, I never give an ear to someone who would come to offer a solution without knowing what the issue is. And with that at PMI worldwide and within MENA as well, we have back again to the engagement. That's the key to be close to the customers. I'll start with proactive engagement, proactive events, and so on with our clients. So we have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, depending on the location, where we have clients. So having proactive, and I've been part of that in my last year or so with PMI, where we go to our clients and offer a certain engagement that's tailored to them. And it always raises my eyebrows, like saying, well, we don't have an event, or what is this about? Well, it's more of a brainstorming session to get to understand you more. We're proactively approaching you, not to offer anything at this point, but more to learn together about what works globally and what can be tailored to your requirements. And I find it's always learning exercise on both sides. We get to learn more, to get better, and offer something more tailored. But from the customer as well, it's more of like an aha moments, like saying, I didn't know that this thing existed or is actually relevant. And some other time, which I really love, when you kind of do a gauge check, well, I've done X, Y, or Z, and it's a comparison to what happened in the US or the UK and other locations. Am I successful with it or not? So that's a very important element. And again, the value-driven part for us, we so focused on that. Aside from all the great success, professional certification, and so many things that we offer, is like what's in it for that individual or the entity as they go in. So again, if I pick my personal trips, some of which, when I started, I don't mind getting on stage and saying I'm changing the whole approach based on the audience, because I flew once in Egypt working with younger minds, eager to look for position, not just in Egypt, but abroad. And we're like, we need to figure out a way to work hand in hand with you, to show you some value to where you're at, because you're going to be saving towards your career and so on. So that's something that we believe in our core, and not just myself, but my counterparts globally. And there's 7 of us, that's how global we are, that handle that part. And the other part, innovation, it's a big word. Everybody mentions innovation, but how can we kind of walk the talk, if I may put it that way? How can we be part of that innovation and help and support to stay abreast of what's new and what's latest? And the last part, I love the part where we have the global expertise, but back again to bring in something local. And again, that's not just the linguistics. Some of my esteemed panelists here with me, what I know very well, we all come from different parts of the world, but we understand this region extremely well. So we'll bring that global expertise and we tailor it to make it for the region. And I bet you if we sit together tomorrow in a different country, it's going to be something different. That shows the asset from PMI's perspective of how we can handle each one of the countries.
Yeah. Stuart, for what we have heard so far, customer centricity isn't a strategy, but it's a mindset. What could be your key messages to leaders who wish to exceed customer expectations?
Great. So yeah, Hanny talked through that really nice process of consulting, right? That active listening I was talking about earlier, that's a great example of it, right? And that process, whether it's an internal customer or an external customer, or you're the PMO and you're talking to the leadership team, or talking to the project managers to support them, they are all customers, right? So that discovery that we talked about earlier, that's absolutely key. You can't do it without that. The second thing, Americo, you mentioned it in passing there, was to measure the outcome. So once you've done something, let's measure, did that actually work? And if it did, let's celebrate that. Let's make sure everybody knows that. Yeah. Because if I don't know it's worked, I will assume it failed. Yeah. Right? So if you want a happy customer, celebrate success. Yeah. Right? That's kind of obvious. But the big one, and this is why we've all got these fun little rubber ducks, right? Wave your rubber ducks, guys. Right? We've all got these fun little rubber ducks. Can you see that up on the screen? Right? These are silly little rubber ducks. So why have I got these rubber ducks? So what you've got to remember is that your projects are like ducks, okay? Your customer doesn't care about your project. They don't care if you have a boy duck or a girl duck. What they want is eggs. They only care about the value from that project. So the biggest thing that you can do to ensure that you exceed customers' expectations is to absolutely focus everything on the egg. So when somebody starts geeking out about all the technical stuff that you talked about at the beginning, Americo, right? When somebody starts geeking about the Gantt chart or the burned-down report or whatever it is, right? Stop them. And by the way, I've got about 100 of these back here. So anyone that wants a duck of their own, come see me afterwards. I'll go hang out in the cafe or something, right? And I'll give you a duck. And what I want you to do with the duck is take it to the office, and when somebody starts geeking out, right, wave the duck at them and tell them to stop focusing on the duck, the silly duck. These are really, can you see it up there? They're really silly ducks, right? Stop focusing on the duck and tell me about the egg, the value, and how are you going to deliver that value and make it the best value you can. Have you got time for like a really quick story?
Yes.
Yes, okay, let's go for it. So my introduction to project project management was 25, 27 years ago, something like that. And I knew nothing about project management. I was working for a telco. I knew nothing about telco. It was a company that did billing systems. I knew nothing about billing. So of course, they gave me profit and loss responsibility for their 2 biggest customers worldwide, right? That's the natural thing to do. So I went to my first project kickoff meeting, and our project manager said, Stuart, keep your mouth shut. You don't know anything. Just don't say anything, right? And the customer's project manager stood up in front of all the project members. He said, we are here today to replace a billing system. Right? We're 10 seconds into the meeting, my hand's up, my project manager's like, Stuart, I told you to keep your mouth shut. Right? Okay, what is it? What is it? I said, we're not here to replace a billing system, are we? They're like, we're paying you $13 million to replace the billing system. I said, no, you're not. You're paying us $13 million to grow revenue. Can we focus on that? How are we going to grow revenue? And it changed the whole trajectory, not just of that conversation, but the entire project. That's what I'm talking about. Focus on the egg, not on the duck. Make sense?
Love it. Yeah.
Cool.
Before we end this session, 1 minute for each of you, what is the best way to connect with the customers? Juan Carlos, shall I start with you?
In a minute, I would say we need to list the basics, which we have discussed today. We spoke about speaking the language, understand the requirements, find solutions, and deliver a product that is useful for your end user. I think beyond that point, we need to understand the importance of the customer. We need to understand that our mandate is not to deliver the perfect technical project. It's to deliver the project that our end user needs to be able to achieve his objective. And to the extent that we put them as a priority in this equation, we will succeed in raising the level of customer service that is expected from us as project managers.
Yeah. Hanny.
If I bring it down to kind of 3 elements, thinking very quick on the answer, I would say communication. It's a big key. A lot of the times I would speak with a customer who would call me for a specific issue, and as we brainstorm about it, it comes up something totally different. But communication is a key. Bringing it down to basics, exactly, that's another key element of it, and have a clear kind of line of sight on what the outcome would be, but be ready to change, be adaptable, be agile with the change. As long as your customer, yourself, accepting that change which happens as we both learn about the outcomes will always be successful.
Yeah. Americo?
Well, one of the most important challenges in projects, most of them, they are not related to the technical aspects, but with people. We have to recognize that. We have to understand who our customers are. We have to understand their real needs. Sometimes they will not be explicit, and we have to understand what is behind behaviors, right? And understand that to be customer-centric means deliver value to them. And value, as beauty, is in the eye of the beholder. So I think that's the point.
Stuart.
Excellent. All of that, what they just said, right? But on top of that, be human, right? The people you're dealing with are human. They have human problems. They have human limitations. They're not going to be consistent. So bring a sense of humor. Bring genuine interest in the people. You know, how long did we spend just chatting in the green room, right? So bring a genuine interest in the people. Yeah. Then you'll be able to understand their problems better, and then you'll be able to solve them better. Bring a sense of humor. And if you're having problems getting people to turn up to meetings, bring muffins, right? People will turn up to meetings for muffins, or cookies, or rubber ducks, or anything that works for you. Right?
Any carbs.
Or sweets. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for our speakers, Americo Pinto, Stuart Easton, Juan Carlos Sahdala, and Hanny Alshazly. And thank you everyone for attending our panel. Thank you.